Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
You're not watching anybody right now, are you?
And race fans, welcome live here on SRM as Extreme Motorsport Simulations kicks off a brand new season right here live on SRM. I'm Matt, Mr. Excitement, up in the booth alongside me. Mr. Matt, great to have you along my side tonight. You pumped up, fired up, ready to go this evening?
Oh, I'm so ready, Matt. And I kind of found out this morning that I was going to be doing this show here with you tonight, and I've just heard so many good things about the XMS racing series here. And I got to call a race here a couple of months ago, and it was an absolute fantastic time. I believe it was on Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or MoSport for short, in the NASCAR trucks. So, changing it up a little bit, going with a more conventional oval. Here we are at the Intermediate Texas Motor Speedway here. So, it's going to be exciting.
Absolutely. Always going to be fired up the right time in prime time. These guys always know how to put on a great show. So we're currently now in that qualifying session, getting these drivers settled in, ready to rock and go for tonight's race.
Yeah, and like I just said, it is Texas Motor Speedway. This track is incredibly quick, and the margin for error here is extremely small because these turns, these corners, are so tight. They're so just down to the margin where you have to be, where you set the car, the weight distribution, entering and exiting the corner. So we're going to be able to see very quickly who has got the pace and who doesn't.
You bring up a great point. This Texas Motor Speedway, everything bigger and better in Texas, and they've reconfigured this track a couple different times now, and you're right. You better have this car pointed straight. It better be dialed in, especially work the bottom if you want to be fast here and get the W in victory lane here tonight. Could not agree with you more.
Yeah, exactly. And I know in the trucks at least, going through 3 and 4, it is extremely higher speeds than what you would experience in turn 1 and 2 as we're looking at the track map here. It looks almost symmetrical, but you see that little kink at the end of turn 4 there. It's going to be a little more jagged, so, you're going to have to set your car for that, and you're going to have slower speeds coming out of 4 than you would actually expect, because that wall on the right side creeps up on you as a driver.
Yeah, it absolutely does, especially as you get into that tire run, that right rear tire and that right front. Those Dr. Feelgoods become Dr. Feelbads, and you're right. You got to have great situational awareness, be able to judge where that wall is, and keep that car off of it if you want to make it through to get to the end here. Let's take a look at tonight's weather. Excellent, as far as Texas is concerned. 72 degrees Fahrenheit. As Tony Trapasso would say, 33% water drain, clear skies, and that breeze could be a factor at 12 miles an hour. That could help you, or it could hurt you, depending on when you catch that invisible component here. One thing the drivers can't see coming out there on the racetrack, it's that wind, but you better be mindful of it.
Yeah, exactly. And as you're driving into the wind here, Matt, the draft is going to play exponentially well into, overtaking drivers, being able to keep up, the toe here is not going to be extremely helpful because it's not something like Talladega or a Daytona where you're going down a straightaway for, 15, 20, 25 seconds. You're only going to be on that back straight for just a little bit, but hey, the less air that you have to fight through, the more you're going to be saving on your fuel, the more you're going to be saving on your tires, and it could just mean a winner from a P2, a P15 from a P16, a P39 from a P40. Those things are going to weigh in. The little things add up, and that's the name of the game when it comes to racing.
Yeah, you take a look here at the practice results. Well, they get stacked ready to rock and roll here tonight. If you take a look here, who's on the, fast here in practice, Michael Thwaites, Alan Elwood, Rob Haynes, that's the top three here tonight so far. And obviously we got some gentlemen from across the pond there up in Canada in the 99 ride. Travis Becker, he's got a hot hand, and Paul Irvin rounding out the top five. These are practice speeds, but look how close these cars are together. You were absolutely right. Hit the nail on the head. It's going to be tight. It's going to be dicey. But if you want to get through to the end of this, you better have that car dialed in for the long run. I could not agree with you absolutely more, my friend.
Yeah, and it's always going to be tricky, racing here and, keeping a level head because these cars, they can come around, they can pass you on the inside if you're not properly set into that little banked groove in 3 and 4. So I think the name of the game tonight, Matt, is going to be make everyone pass you on the outside. It's going to be incredibly difficult to actually perform a clean overtake in turns 3 and 4 around the outside here. So, if you're currently leading the race or if you plan on defending your position whatsoever, you better be strapped to that apron.
That's going to be the fastest way around this racetrack, 100% for certain. As you can see, these cars now starting to grid here tonight out on the field, getting ready to let it rock. No limits, Texas style. What do you say we go through this qualifying order and see how these guys get racked, ready to rock and roll here this evening? On the pole here tonight, you see Alan Elwood there in the number 10 machine. He's going to be firing off first. In second, Logan Kogar in the 25 ride. Third place, that's going to belong to Travis Beckner in that 27th. Rolling off fourth tonight, Rob Haynes in the 99. Rounding out your top five, Jacob Jensen in the 64. Starting sixth place tonight, Bryce Senek, I hope I said that correctly, in the 09 ride. Seventh place, Michael Thwaites in the 12th. Eighth place belongs to James Shane Wolf in the 83. Just inside the top 10 in ninth, that's Mike Rominger in the 4. And in 10th place, Nicholas Caldwell. 11th place belongs to Paul Irvin. Gary Wells, a friend of mine from back in the day in the 33. Look for him to come to the front. 13th belongs to Alice Rilling in the 1. Ed Morris Jr., the HMFIC, just inside the top 15 there. And 14th, Kobe Cullums in the 9. He's going to roll off 15th. 16th, that's going to belong to Eric Driggins. 17th, Ted Pullen. 18th, Adam Capps. 19th, Josh Gren. 20th, Austin Grape. DJ Weeks, Kenneth Cleaver, David Elliott, Kenneth Walton, Joey Beck, Justin Lemke, and Ed Morris Sr. round out the starters as we get ready to rock and roll here tonight.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great time. I'm familiar with a couple of these names, Matt, but I'm not going to lie, I'm not familiar with them all. So it's going to be incredible to see them as Alan Elwood does have the button there. He is going to be leading us off into lap 1 here. That number 10 machine looking perfect for this performance tonight. I love the colors he's choosing for that car right there. He's coming around turn 2. We have a little bit of a scrape into the wall. I believe that's a 25 machine of Logan Kogar, but no harm, no foul. He continues on.
Yeah, Logan Kogar had an early scare there, probably on those colder tires, not up to temperature, but you're right. He gets it gathered up, gets back in line as Kogar runs in that third place position. You mentioned the 10 of Alan Elwood. I mean, he got a great start there, and I agree with you. I love the paint scheme on that 10 ride. And, he's just turned the fastest laps through sectors 1 and 2 so far. Best hot spot he's the hot man on the hot chart right now. Best lap time so far of a 37.08. So you're right. That man is out there flying right now. Is Travis Becker in that second place position, trying to catch him, but he's almost back 0.3 of a second already.
Yeah, and coming around for the first time, the leader is going to have the fastest time because he was the first one to complete the lap. But Logan Kogar said that is not necessarily the deal for the second lap as he turns a 30-30 as he is absolutely flying. That toe, that draft is going to be a big factor here tonight. I'm going to be preaching it all night down that back straight. The little things add up. And, when it comes to the little things, you can tell these drivers how they're setting their cars in turn 1 and 2, and especially how they're setting the cars in turn 3 and 4. They have got to be on the money if they want to keep up with the leaders here.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point here about the draft. It's typically sometimes not exactly what you would think of. When you think draft, you automatically think the megaplex of motorsports racing, Talladega, Daytona. But the draft certainly comes into play here. If your car's not handling right, if you can keep that car in the draft, you can figure out where your car wants to run, get it to rotate the center of the corner, use that draft to your advantage. You should be able to hold on here if you keep yourself out of trouble and come home with a solid finish, even if your car may be handling not to your liking.
Yeah, and that's the name of the game, right? Adaptability, surviving with change, thriving with change even. And as we get on through the night, these tires are going to start to get old. The car is going to start to become lighter because of the less fuel load. And that's the beautiful thing about motorsport. They should call it the beautiful game, and that's no disrespect to, soccer or football for anybody else who, calls it that. But, the real beauty here, and I might be biased, but the real beauty here is managing a machine that is going to change on you every single corner of every single lap you take.
You're right. It's going to evolve, and there's a lot of different dynamics that go into that, right? You have the weather, the track temperature. As Goodyear rubber lays down into this concrete racing surface, how is that going to change and evolve? And it's about that driver not only understanding what's going on with his race car and relaying that back to the man on top of the box, the crew chief, but it's everyone working in unison together as a team. This is going to get you the end result, and that's a W in victory lane. Well said, and I could not agree with you more. Speaking about getting to victory lane here tonight, taking a look here at some of the big move drivers out there on the racetrack. How about the 19 ZL1 Chevrolet Camaro of Austin Karp? He's now up to 13th, 7 spots to the good from where he started. As you can see now, he's working on the back of that 12 machine, being piloted by Michael Thwaites.
Yeah, what a drive from him, showing tremendous pace here early. But let's hope that this, pace during the start of the race isn't going to be a precursor to his downfall later in the run, as he is up 7 spots, now 8 actually. But Newton's law says it, for every action, there must be an equal and opposite reaction. And 7 spots down in P19 is Gary Wells. So, basically trading spots here. That 33 Camaro of Gary Wells, not necessarily feeling it through the first 10 laps, but from something we see a lot here up in the booth, the people that aren't fast in the beginning can very well be the people that are fast in the end.
Right, and that's a great point. Comers and goers, you see that a lot in Texas. You've seen that with the with the 6th gen car, and you see that a lot in this next gen car as well. Gary Wells, guess what? He's from Raceway, Indiana, right around the corner from the racetrack, believe it or not. And this guy here knows how to dial up a car for the long game. So I understand what you're saying. He may have fell back through the field a little bit, going the wrong way, but watch for that 33, who's currently in 19th now, as you mentioned, to make his way towards the front when it counts. And I bet you, if I know Gary just a little bit, he's saving those tires right now, and I bet you he goes up and moves to that upper line, just as what you're seeing right now, trying to get that rubbered up. We'll monitor his progress as he comes through the field. As we take it back up front, It's been all the 10 of Alan Elwood as he's now got almost a 0.4 of a second lead over the second place car, number 27, Travis Becker.
Yeah, and the top three seem to be spread out almost equidistant from each other, but in P4 here, we have Jacob Jensen in the 64 Camaro as he is looking to make a move on Logan Kogar. He is only a 10th and a half down, and he is in a perfect spot to take this final podium spot here early in the race.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's doing what he needs to do right now. He's up on the wheel, got his hands at 10 and 2, and he is going to work right now. You can see him closing in now, putting the pressure on the back of, that's Jensen, Jacob Jensen putting the pressure on the back of Logan Kogar as these guys looking to really mix it up here early on in this one as we're now 14 laps through the scheduled 143 lap distance here tonight. And as you know, things are always bigger and better in Texas.
Bigger and better indeed. The racetracks, we've got Texas Motor Speedway. We've got Circuit of the Americas that is in Austin, Texas. And, that is a very good road course for, F1, F2, F3. They all go there. IMSA goes there, the GT stuff. But, like you said, it's bigger and better, and it just seems like these races that are in Texas, whether it's oval, whether it's road course, whether it's dirt, whether it's MotoGP, because they race at COTA as well, it seems like every single track in Texas just provides world-class racing. And, if it wasn't for Texas, USA racing would not be on the map as much as it is.
Yeah, that's a great point. Texas, such one of the biggest states in the country, and why not utilize that to your advantage, especially if you're a racing fan, right? You got a little bit of everything. You got the high speed. We got trouble out there on the racetrack. Somebody is around, quick, fast, in a hurry, off in the grass there. I believe that was Nicholas Caldwell.
We might be staying green here, Matt.
Oh, yeah, that's the 34 off the racetrack there as we go back live. You are correct. We stay green there as we do have our own race control up in the booth tonight. They're calling the shots. They're making sure this racetrack is as safe and everyone's out of harm's way. And if they're good with it, so am I, as this battle for 20th spot continues to heat up, watching the 42 and David Elliott start to put the pressure on Adam Capps.
Yeah, David Elliott really trying to make that stick there. Or, I'm sorry, actually, it's Josh Wren trying to make it stick on Adam Capps. There's trouble in the wall. Someone got into the wall in turn 4. I'm not sure who that was, but once again, we stay green. No harm, no foul. Race on, says race control.
Yeah, I mentioned
I'm
that
not
tires.
sure who that was.
I think that was DJ Weeks just in front of that battle we were watching with Capps and Wren. He just got, like you said in the opening of the start of the broadcast there, just didn't realize how high he was up on the racetrack and came up and gave the top of the fishbowl there a high five. No harm, no foul, though. We stay green as we continue to watch this battle heat up just inside the top 20.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the 9 of Kobe Collins there didn't get his car set properly in turn 1 and 2. So he is going to be on the back end of an overtake going into 3 and 4. It's going to be hard to increase that momentum when he had such a poor first 2 corners. And it does look like the 97 of DJ Weeks is increasing his gap just a little bit. But there's a lot of golf left, as they say, and Kobe Collins will have ample amounts of opportunities as this race progresses.
You speak about opportunities. How important are pit stops here at Texas, especially if they're going to be under green flag conditions? You're going to have to execute. You're going to have to get down to pit road speed correctly, but you want to be efficient. You want to hit your box. Get all 4 of those tires stopped inside the lines. If you go over, that's going to cost you precious time right before you got to throw it in reverse. That's all seconds off the clock. 4 tires back on the race car. You want to get out of your pit stall quick, fast, and in a hurry, but not too fast, because it's very easy to get caught speeding on pit road with all these scoring and timing points. If you can be efficient on pit road, that's another great way to make up positions on the racetrack as well.
Oh, I mean, you're exactly right. We see it time after time, week after week in the world of Formula One. If anybody is educated on that, Red Bull Racing, one of the best pit teams in the entirety of motorsports, getting their pit stops done 1.98 seconds at one race weekend last year. And, you know, it's the same for any motorsport that involves pit stops. You have got to be clean, you have got to be efficient, you have got to be quick, you have got to be, you know, just perfect. Because if you are not, that is time, and more importantly, could be penalties tossed out.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want, right, is a penalty. Whether it's a level 1 or level 3 penalty, that's all going to cost you positions. You know, if it's a hold on pit road during the race, or, or if it's a serious infraction, you're talking about, driver points. It could even be a manufacturer point deduction too as well. So you're right. You want to mitigate, any type of on-track or off-track penalties as well, and that's all a part of it, to become crowned champion, when all is said and done. But Gary Wells in that 33, we talked about him earlier, so why not go back to him again? He's rebounded a little bit there, now only down 2 spots from where he started in that 14th place position. The 33 seems to have that car going in the right way, and perhaps he was saving early because he knew he had a 48-lap run here for the first stage.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad you brought up manufacturers a second ago, Matt, because something I noticed as we're looking up and down this timing sheet, we are in a crowd of Chevrolet Camaros here tonight. I spy 3 Toyota Camrys in this entire grid. I'm so sorry. This is Xfinity. Toyota Supras. I apologize. Which, in my opinion, is the coolest stock car on the iRacing service. So it blows my mind that there's only 3 Supras here tonight. And also, I'm only counting 5 Ford Mustangs here in the grid tonight. So a lot of Chevrolet. It is dominating this grid.
Yeah, this is a Chevy-heavy field, no doubt about it. And, you bring up an interesting point on the Supra. I agree with you. I love that car. I love the JDM spec one as well. You would think with the Supra being in the Xfinity series, Chevrolet has a 2-door sports car. Ford Mustang 2-door. Why not have a 2-door sports car in your top series as well? But that's not the case, at least not yet. The only place you're going to catch this Toyota Supra is exclusive to the Xfinity series, and perhaps it's mapped out like that for a reason, as we continue to watch some great battling here inside now the top 10. Gary Wells continues to charge towards the front. Doing a great job here, coming back through traffic. Michael Thwaites as well, doing a great job. He's up 2 spots inside the top 5 now. Paul Irvin on the move in the 48 machine, up 9 spots. He's knocking on the back door. The only problem, well, Alan Elwood, he is checked out to lunch right now, is he is 5.8 seconds ahead of that number 48 machine.
Yeah, what an outstanding lead that Alan Elwood has here, but he is going to come in, and that was my next talking point, Matt. We have got about half of the grid either complete or coming down pit lane right now for their first pit cycle. And if you look at the timing board, it seems everyone has decided to take 4 tires, a pretty standard pit cycle here in the XMS Xfinity series.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with the amount of laps that you have in this stage, 48 laps, it makes sense. Kind of split it in half, or maybe you go a little bit longer, depending on how you want to attack the start of the second stage. But we see our leader right now down there on pit road, getting service done to his race car. You see the jack go up, going to get 4 new Dr. Feelgoods on there, 2 Sunoco cans of racing fuel, and he'll be back off and underway. And you're right, most of the field has completed their pit stops, as that's now going to give the lead to Paul Irvin in that number 48 machine, as he's going to carry the torch for the first time here tonight.
Yeah, well done. Well done to Paul Irvin here. He saw his opportunity to take a lead and maybe score some bonus points here in the Xfinity series, so he is going to jump on that, no questions asked. He is up 10 spots started the race in P11. And Austin Karp, who is currently in 4th place, is up 16 spots. However, I don't think that will be long-lived, as he has yet to come into pit lane.
Yeah, well said. I could not agree with you more. And while these guys are completing their pit stops and getting back out on the racetrack, we're going to take a break, pay some bills, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back right here with the live action right here on SRM.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
I appreciate all of you guys being with us here live on SRM. Mac, what's your impressions of this race so far? How are these drivers attacking this racetrack through the action we've seen thus far?
Really impressed with how these drivers are handling this track, especially the drivers that haven't pitted yet. They are on 34-lap-old tires, and that is nothing to sneeze at here at Texas. You know, turn 1 and 2, 3 and 4, you can get away with it. You can get away with it in 3 and 4 because of how banked that bottom groove is. Your car is basically glued to that bottom line. However, in turn 1 and 2, you can get some incredibly irritating oversteer if you happen to overdrive the car. And as your tires dwindle and those tires degrade in grip, that becomes ever so, just common. It becomes extremely easy to overdrive the car. And so for these drivers to be holding a decent pace, I mean, they're running 32.36 for Michael Thwaites on the last lap. That is only about a second and a half slower than his best time.
Yeah.
So, he is doing an absolute incredible job. Same with all the drivers that have stayed out.
Yeah, and you mentioned his best lap time, Michael Thwaites there, coming in at a 30.63, doing a great job of managing, the tires on that race car and just, knowing when to lift, get out of the throttle early, let that car rotate. Because now we see the 12 on pit road. Watch him come into the box there. Beautiful execution, as he's now going to get service done on that race car. Take it back trackside now. So everyone doing a really good job here of having some showmanship. The gentleman's agreement, if you will, on full display here, especially during the early going. These drivers understand exactly what it takes to survive and be alive. And we always say you can't win it on lap 1. You have to be there at the checkered flag. And all these drivers doing a great job taking care of their equipment through 37 laps of competition.
Yeah, you got to give and take when it comes to motorsport. And it's almost a team sport in the aspect of, you have got to get through it. Nobody wants to see their opponent wrecked out. Nobody wants to see their opponent, with a popped tire. Everybody wants to see everybody finish. And part of that is giving and taking as a driver during these early stints of the race. I know it's a competition. I know it is a eat or be eaten kind of atmosphere out there. But there's also some finesse to that. And you just can't be an aggressive and ignorant driver here, especially in the oval racing scene, because it does nothing but come back and bite you.
Yeah, it certainly will. If you're not paying attention, it will. It'll come right up a bumpy in the bumper of your race car, and that could certainly spell havoc for you out there on the racetrack. Taking a look right now, some of the biggest movers of the race. Up 23 spots, Justin Lemke in one of the few and proud Toyotas in the field. Up 23 spots, not 12, 23 for Justin Lemke. He made it look easy and just put it to the floorboards and charged to the front and he is knocking on the back door as he's now currently on my screen being scored as the leader within 40 laps. That's awful impressive performance out of the 35 ride.
Yeah, incredible performance to, like you said, maintain and keep your equipment top tier and, spec'd out through 40 laps, because he has not taken a pit stop. But there is confidence to be had. There is skill to be, looked at here. For him to go 40 laps and not fall completely out of the pace with his current timing is, very good. And the overcut here might just be something that is useful. It might be a useful race strategy. We see it all the time in the road courses like Monza. The undercuts are insanely good at Monza. But here at Texas Motor Speedway here in America, where we race around circles, the overcut might be the better call.
And I think that's exactly what the 35 is doing. Is it almost looked like he was listening to the broadcast as you called that out, and then came down pit road on lap 42, now currently being displayed. That first stage is coming lap 48. So perhaps the 35 has got a game plan. The overcut route it is as he gets back up to speed, coming back out on the racetrack. But I agree, he did a great job over that stint, managing his equipment and taking care of his race car as he gets it back into high gear, back on the loud pedal, and up to speed. As that now is going to transition Travis Beckner to the lead in the 27 machine. Last time by turned to 31:52. Very competitive lap times out there right now for your leader in the 27 camp.
Yeah, Travis Beckner, he started P3, so familiar with the front runners here in this race, but currently holding a 3.6 second lead back to Jacob Jensen, who actually stopped by in the chat before the broadcast. So shout out to Jacob on that front, and we appreciate all you guys here watching this amazing Xfinity race here in the XMS Xfinity Series. But Travis Beckner is looking like he is going to be the Stage 1 winner.
Yeah, I mean, back in the early days, all roads led to Rome, and it looks right now the Stage 1, the road is the win in Stage 1 is going to go through Travis Beckner in that 27. I agree. There isn't anybody within an arm's reach of him. You got to go all the way back to Jacob Johnson, who is a few seconds back from the 27. So Beckner, I mean, he's like out there on a Sunday drive right now. He's all by him, lonesome, almost like he's doing independent time trials out there.
Yeah, he is just a hot lap demon right now. He is just laying down lap after lap. He might even be blasting some Taylor Swift in the headphones. Who knows? But whatever Travis Beckner is doing tonight, it is working, as that 27 machine looks pristine through 46 laps here.
Yep. Yeah, I gotta give it to you on the Swifty in the headphones there. That I can't speak for Beckner's taste, but hey, whatever gets you fired up, ready to rock and roll, and put your game face on for 143 laps, I'm all about it. As Beckner is out there cruising right now as we're now working lap 46.
Matt, there's been a couple of races that I've called that you've been in, and I've seen some incredible overtakes and some incredible pace on your behalf in those races. Do you have a pre-race pump-up or routine that you like to go through?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I do. I like to get the static X going. Oh, as the one goes up and slaps the outside retaining wall there, gives it a kiss. But I like to play some Static X, a little drop C guitar on the, on the alt from the alt metal scene. That seems to get me going. But, I think it was more of me just being lucky with you being up in the booth on the races that I had some pace in. As I ain't the greatest driver in the world, I've certainly gotten better, but I appreciate that compliment.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, the pregame routine, the athletes always say it's always the pregame routine that they credit their success to. And, I must say, if we're talking about pregame routines, there's nothing I like more than some Central C banging in my headphones, the
There you
bass,
go.
the rap, the loudness. It just, for some reason, the intensity is what calms me down and prepares me for, sometimes are 3 or 4 hour races. So, I'm glad to see that the pregame rituals are still here.
Yeah, well, either that or if I'm sitting on pit road, turn on some Excision, make sure you got about, 6 or 7 subwoofers, pumping the bass. You want to feel it right in the lug nuts, you know what I mean, before you get in the race car.
Yeah.
Make sure they're ready to rock and roll, ready to go. So, speaking of rock and roll and get ready to go, how about Ed Morris in the 7 car here? Head cook, chief bottle washer of the series, as Tony Trapasso would love to say. He's doing a great job right now, as well as we now hit lap 50. That's going to be the stage, and Ed Morris going the silent but deadly route. Didn't make a lot of hay out there on the racetrack, but methodically worked his way through the field and is sitting just outside the top 5 in that 6th place position.
Yeah, well done to Ed Morris. Fair play to him, as Micah Rominger, I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but
I believe it's Rominger.
He as well. Rominger, okay. I believe that he has got some incredible pace here tonight, because he is 6 spots up. Started P9, currently P3, so ideal stage 1 for him.
Yeah, well said. And speaking of the stages, we talked about pit strategy before. Got a lot of takers right now coming down pit road here. As you can see, the conveyor belt, everyone instantly makes pit road the hottest commodity on the racetrack here. It's everyone coming in for service on their race cars here. Call should be, again, 4 tires and full of Sunoco racing fuel, especially with the laps these guys are running right now.
Yeah, and Beckner with some crazy wheel spin. His front of his car, the nose just lifted up, looked like it was going to go to outer space there, but he gets an excellent launch out of his pit stall.
Yeah, he was looking like John Force leaving from the tree coming out of the box there, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey, sometimes you gotta keep yourself pumped up, and hey, if dropping the hammer off the jack is what gets your team fired up, keeps your head in the game, I'm all about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. And breaking news, actually, from the YouTube chat, Jason Beckner says Travis Beckner does not listen to Taylor Swift. He listens to Five Finger Death Punch.
Bleeding, yes.
So that makes perfect sense as to why he is so destructive and just quick on this racetrack. I guess destructive wasn't the right word, but he is just ready for anything. He is going out there and he is dominating the competition right now.
Well, in the words of Five Finger Death Punch, can't explain what's come over me. Well, I can tell you what it is. It's the high-octane, high-energy of the no-limit style persona of this racetrack, as he had the drop D guitars thundering before he jumped in his race car, and it is working for him as he sits there in P2. Great band, Five Finger Death Punch. That's what I love about the YouTube chat, and everyone that's watching live right now on SRM. You throw something out there, you're not quite sure. These fans, they're gonna put us in check, and they're gonna let us know quick, fast, in a hurry what's up. So we appreciate the shout out and letting us know he's not. I can't even think of a Taylor Swift song right now.
Oh, dude, Blank Space, Teardrops on My Guitar. Come on, I mean, I know she's catching a decent amount of flack in the media right now, but you can't deny she's got some bangers. She's got some grade A music out there. Well,
anytime I need the latest and greatest on T Swift, I know where I am coming to, my man.
Oh, yeah. That's what happens when you grow up with an older sister who could not stop listening to Taylor Swift.
Gotcha, I understand. Oh, good stuff. As that pace car's out in front, pacing the field, iRacing.com Ford Mustang. Of course, we're looking to see if those lights going to go out on the pace car this time by. And they are. So that means we're going to re-rack them or restack this deck one more time. Michael Thwaite's going to have the button here. We're going to go back to a little no-limit action Texas style.
Yeah, and
Right.
it's going to be an all-out brawl for this second stage.
You know, this is where you would think to start to see the intensity come up just a little bit, right? Stage 1, very calm, cool, collective. Everyone, you know, showing great respect for each other and the competitors out there on the racetrack. You've seen the give and take. At what point in time does that go away, and does the switch flip mentally inside the helmet of that race car driver? Their eyes go red and they see blood and they are out for every single position they can get.
Yeah,
What-
you know, and I think that starts whenever you stop counting up your laps and you start counting down your laps. You know, about halfway through the race, when it's a matter of how many laps are there left instead of how many laps have we gone through, I think that's when drivers start to kind of, you know, loosen up, get their elbows out, and they start getting ready to make some overtakes. Because, you know, when you're driving these races, you know, when you're going up the first half of the race, you're just kind of trying to set the tone. You're trying to understand what's going to happen. But as the race goes on, you're trying to figure out, where do I want to finish? And spoiler alert, everybody, including Michael Thwaites, wants to finish the race in first. So he is on the button as quick as he can in that Geico restart zone, and we are off with the second stage.
That's right, Thwaites thumps the throttle pedal there. He's going to kick it to the limit as he's going to pull right up in front of Travis Beckner, who got a great run on the high side of the racetrack. Now he's going to turn it down to the bottom. It's a John Force special going into the 3 and 4 complex here. What a move by the 27 of Beckner, coming back to the Geico restart zone. Change for the lead as Beckner just put on a move on Thwaites, letting him know he came to play.
Yeah, I mean, what a switchback we got going down the back straight there, and Beckner just plays it perfectly, setting his car on the inside as we almost get rowdy between the 4th and 5th place drivers there. But, yeah, what a move by Travis Beckner.
Yeah, you know, you just talked about the intensity starting to pick up, and if that was ever evident on the restart of that race, Beckner wasted no time, you know, buckling down, pulling the belts tight one more time, and he sent that thing on the switchback, as you said, as Michael Thwaites now continues to go the wrong way a little bit, but I believe he stayed out there. He did not come down pit road. He pitted earlier in stage 1. Could be waiting for those tires to equalize at the moment.
Yeah, exactly right what you said. He is going to wait for those tires to equalize. He is going to save as much as he can, because that way, when the long run starts here in about 15 or 20 laps, he is going to be the one with the advantage, because he is driving on old tires throughout this entire stage at that point. So he is going to know what the car is demanding from him, what it needs in order to rotate around these corners. But a little bit of a weave session going on here. 96 of Kerry Cleaver, not exactly textbook defending, but gets it done against Logan Kogar. And if I'm Logan, I'm going after the overtake as quick as possible.
Yeah, it looks like Cleaver found the spot where the Waffle House dumped all the bacon grease there on the racetrack, as he was a little slideways coming through there. And I still don't think he's got it settled, as you see him take it way up the hill there, making sure that race car is underneath him as the 25 now. Kogar is going to challenge for that position.
Yeah, but I mean, fair play to Kerry Cleaver there, who took the absolute most unoptimized line in 1 and 2. It still had a lot of momentum there against Logan Kogar, but Kogar does get the move done as they start to spread out a little bit.
Yeah, and I think what we're starting to see is, you know, you can work that second groove in at Texas. Typically, it's not there right off the rip, right at the drop of the green flag. But once you have some drivers that are committed to start rubbering up that second groove, as that track temperature changes, as the rubber gets laid down, that top shelf does come into play there. And oftentimes, we see passes for the win on the lead lap, as Larry Mack would say, on the high side. And that could certainly be a factor here late.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's always going to be a factor when you get down into those final laps. It's going to be, you know, almost preference, because you're side-by-side racing for those positions in the final lap. Where do you want to be? sometimes drivers take the line that they're most comfortable with, and sometimes drivers take something different to try to pull off a miraculous play, a hero play, as some would call it, inside of the gaming world. And, speaking of hero, the only hero I have my eyes on right now is Mike Rominger, as he is currently leading this thing.
Yeah, Mike Rominger is rumbling right now at the front of this piece in the 4. I mean, he took it to the house there on that restart, and he is up 8 spots. If I was crew chief right now, maybe not right now, but about 30 or 40 laps from now, I'm going to tell him, grab that rear view mirror, take it off, throw it out of the race car, don't cause a caution, because I want you focused, eating, looking out the window. Let the spotter do his job, but I want my driver looking out that front window, hungry, trying to be the first one to the checkered flag. Don't get caught in an intimidator type situation, driving out of your rearview mirror and letting Beckner or Ed Morris make you make a mistake out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, and I talk about it with Mike all the time over on other broadcasts, but there's something that needs to be studied. I swear it needs to be studied by the top researchers and top engineers of the world. Winner's complacency is 100% a thing. You start leading a race for X amount of laps and you start to zone out because you have no other goals. You have nothing but open track in front of you. That causes you to zone out and make these micro mistakes that, like I said at the top of the broadcast, add up. And sure enough, you spend 5 or 10 laps just kind of zoned out, driving around in a circle, and here you've got 2 or 3 drivers about to overtake you for your race lead. So that is something that Mike Rominger and whoever is leading this race tonight, they need to be weary of, because they can definitely be overtaken by the talented drivers of this XMS grid.
Yeah, they certainly can, and that's one thing I love about this series is the level of competition that you have here on display each and every time these drivers strap into the race car. I mean, you take a look at the strength of field here. It is through the roof in this series. Any one of these drivers on any given Tuesday night capable of going up there and getting a win. So it's going to keep you honest and keep you true to your craft throughout the course of these races each week, in and out. I could not agree with you more.
Yeah, and looking up and down the grid here, everybody kind of starting to find their footing, find their place in the grid as we are almost halfway through this race. We're a couple 5 or 10, maybe 15 laps off of it. But there is a battle going on for P5 right now, or P4, I apologize, with Alan Elwood and Bryce Senesac. Once again, apologize if I'm butchering that, but Alan Elwood actually, as I'm speaking on that, gets the overtake done. And, this is the guy that led the race for the first little bit, so Alan Elwood looking to come back to his throne.
Yeah, the Green Machine, a.k.a. Mean Machine in the 10, looking to go up there and take what once was his. You're absolutely right. He's got it going back in the right direction there in that 5th place position right now. I'm sorry, in that 4th place position right now. He's got a lot of traffic in front of him. Let's see if he's patient, working the draft here and taking those opportunities when they present themselves on the racetrack. But you're right, Alan Elwood back on the charge towards the front.
Yeah, and speaking of charge to the front, Ed Morris Jr., who we talked about it at the end of the first stage a little bit, he is currently up 11 spots. He is in P3, started this race P14, and he has been absolutely sensational out there during the second stage.
It's almost like the switch flicked inside, the race car in that 7ZL1 Camaro. And he is now working the higher side of the racetrack. You can see there he might get taken over there by the 09 ride of Bryce Insack. This could be a strategy play here, but you're right. Ed's been hanging tough here, up near the front, up still 9 spots from where he started. Can't count out the 7 and Ed Morris Jr. He knows how to get around these mile and a halves.
Yeah, he definitely does indeed. Like I said, I'm not familiar with every single one of these drivers that's on this grid tonight, but I am familiar with a few, and a few being Ed Morris Jr. and Justin Lemke. Those are actually the only two that I know. So, I can give you an educated guess on what Ed Morris Jr. is going to do tonight, and that is going to be put the pressure on. You know, he is, such a good driver when it comes to being on offense, overtaking, positions and climbing up that rung of positions. Justin Lemke, on the other hand, what I've seen from him, he is an incredible defender. Fernando Alonso-esque almost. He gets in front of a car, and that car will not overtake him again for the rest of the race.
Yeah, well said. I agree with that statement. Speaking of Ed Morris Jr. there, what do you say we go on board with him, see how he's getting around this racetrack as we go to the gyro cam here. He's down on the bottom here, just where you said you want to be. That's also the shortest way around this racetrack. You can hear how he's working the throttle on that race car. As we go under caution, just as we go on board with Ed Morris Sr. See if we can find out exactly what happened here. Little up close and personal, and the 9 has the front clip ripped off of it. Additional carnage as multiple drivers come in. It's a 1-2 whack-a-mole situation for Bryce. I believe that's Sinsack. We were just talking about him before we went on board with Morris.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate. I believe the 2 of Adam Capps got capped there as well. Sorry, that was an incredibly bad pun, but we're gonna go back and look at it. That was some destruction.
Yeah, we're gonna roll that back one more time here. Just gonna slow it down a little bit. The carnage, and then watch as that 9 continues to slide and almost parks right in the middle of the racetrack. Multiple cars come in and clip the 9 as well. Hopefully he has one of those fast repairs left in his pocket, because he's certainly going to need it. As multiple Code Brown moments on the racetrack here as Lady Unluck shows herself here on lap 73. As we see Mike Rominger there coming off of pit road. And that may be the silver lining here with the timing of this caution. Guys get to come down pit road here. Not as much pressure to make a mistake. We talked about that earlier. Have a chance to put some new Dr. Feelgoods on their race car. Re-rack them, restack them here as we continue to get closer to the end of this race. The octane and the intensity can only continue to trend up from here.
Yeah, that unfortunately not what you would like to see in a situation like this. However, to go 73 laps cautionless is very, very impressive, and these drivers definitely need to pat themselves on the back for that, because there are some series around here that would have already been on double-digit cautions by this lap number. So, things are going to happen. It's a motorsport. People are fighting over the same little bit of track. There's only, 25 feet or so there to fight over. That is an incredibly tight distance to cover, especially when you go too wide.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment.
Stuff like that's going to happen.
Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Race fans, welcome back here to Texas. I'm Matt Metler up in the booth, and Mac Attack along my side up here as we've been treated to a thriller here live on SRM, now through 75 laps of competition as that field re-racked, restacked, getting ready to go back green flag racing here one more time.
Yeah, hopefully we can have a slightly longer run here coming into this second stint, but like I said, stuff's gonna happen. Racing incidents will occur as Travis Beckner, who had the button, gets out to an incredible start. The rest of the grid just absolutely sleeping.
Yeah, actually, absolutely caught the entire field there on the snooze button on the restart as Beckner is able to blast out of a cannon. And look who is back into that P2 position. The Mean Green Machine being piloted by Alan Elwood. He's coming to the front as you hinted at earlier, and look at him dial it up all over the back of Beckner.
Yeah, I mean, he's cooking right now. He took that 0.4 of a second lead and pretty much dwindled it to nothing. He is at his right front quarter panel, right rear quarter panel now, as they're actually going to make a little bit of contact as he's coming over. Maybe a little bump and run. Some Denny Hamlin at Martinsville action possibly going on, as he is going to overtake Travis Beckner, and well done to Alan Elwood, who takes back the lead of this race.
Yeah, we go on board there to the GoPro cam, and he just bonks Beckner right out of the way. Just a little bit of a nudge. That's all you need to do. Just get him loose, move him up out of the groove there. Certainly no harm intended. And just like that, Alan Elwood owns the front of this piece once again here at Texas. Starting to pull out to a pretty good lead here too, as well as he's now quickly approaching a half second already. He is absolutely flying. Last time by a 30-37 to Beckner's 30-70.
Yeah, absolutely, just wicked pace, just rapid, as he has got this car dialed in. He has got it in tune. He is one with the car now, entering what has been a wild topic in sports recently, the flow state. He is in that flow state right now. He is the car is him, and he is driving it almost to perfection.
Talking about driving it almost to perfection, check out Sinsack in the 09 time. He is taking it to the house now as he's giving Beckner the business, as he's going to pull about a half car length on him, rocking the bottom. Sinsack working the high side there. It's still a drag race coming into the 3-4 complex. The 9 rider Sinsack still on the bottom. He's going to drift up a little bit, almost high fives. One another coming off the 3 and 4, coming back to the stripe here. Let's see what's going to be at the line. That one's going to go to Sinsack by a bumper cover, if that.
Yeah, that was crazy close, but it looks like now it is just the inevitable for Travis Beckner, as he is going to concede that position to Bryce Sinsack, but it looks like Beckner might. Nah, I thought he was going to come back in 3 and 4 and give him a run for his money, but no, he's going to concede for now and allow Bryce Sinsack to, pave the way for everybody besides Alan Elwood.
That's a smart decision there by Beckner. Clearly could see that Sinsack was faster. He was on the charge, wanted the position, as you said, conceded, gave him the position. And just as we see that, here he comes back for more. Is now he's going to take it to the high side where Mama hides the cookies, perhaps. He thinks twice about it, brings it right back down into the conveyor belt. And it's almost like Sittensack knew what he was doing as he came up the track to block the run from the 27.
Yeah, Bryce Sittensack is in his bag right now, like the fries are at the bottom. He is pulling out every stop right now to keep Travis Beckner from retaking that P2 position. But while all this is happening, it's the number one rule. Actually, I take that back. The number 2 rule of motorsport. If you're battling, you're going slower. And Alan Elwood is reaping the benefits from this as he has pulled out to almost a 1-second lead over Sittensack and the rest of the grid.
Yeah, the proof is in the pudding, if you will, and also in the timing and in the lap speeds. I mean, last time by, Elwood ran a 30.91 to the guys that are battling out there on a racetrack at 30.96 and 94. So you're right, clean out there, fresh air on the nose of that race car, and Elwood been able to pull out over a second lead now on Sittensack and the rest of the gang, as Elwood were in the hornet's nest. They're just fighting for their lives in that second and third place position. In fact, it's still not over, as here comes Beckner again, applying the pressure to the bumper of the 09.
Yeah, applying the pressure, and you said it best earlier. Sittensack better not be driving out of his rearview mirror right now, because he needs to focus up and increase that gap from Travis Beckner, who had a really good turn 3 and 4. We'll see on this lap if he can redo it in turn 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4. As Beckner, it looks like he is closing. Oh, he's got a really good run coming down the back straight there.
Oh, you're right. He is flying. You can see him dial in the bead on the back of that race car as he hooks it right to the bottom. He is eating hard on the inside. And to be fair, Sittensack made it bite and was right there, mirroring the line, if you will. Both these drivers right now running really hard, but that has to be paying a premium in the tire department as well.
Yeah, and you kind of notice it. Everybody from Rominger and back, they are kind of taking, a little bit of a breather. Jacob Jensen, Paul Irvin, Ed Morris Jr., David Elliott, that crew back there, they are kind of just letting things play out. They're interested. They're spectating this 3-man battle for P2 right now, and they're just saying, you know what, boys, we're going to chill, and when the time comes, then we are going to strike, as we have got almost like some miniature pack racing going on with the 2, 3, and 4 spots, and then the 5 through 8 spots behind them.
That's a great point. Ed Morris and company are sitting back there, that 6th, 7th, 8th place position, probably queuing up the Limp Biscuit. Keep on rolling, baby. And when what time it is, and that's go time to come to the front, they could have the tires to go up there and get it done, while everyone just in front of them, as you mentioned, in that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place position, they could burn that stuff up, depending on how the cautions fall. And let's just be honest here, we only seen 1 through 74 laps of competition. Really don't have one in sight. Tires could become a big factor here in the later stages of this race.
Yeah, tires can become a big factor. You are exactly right. And we are coming up on the 50 to go mark, which is going to be a milestone for a lot of these drivers in the back half of the grid, I'd imagine. I think they're going to be saying, okay, we sat out long enough. I think it's time to climb. The likes of Kerry Cleaver, Austin Karp, Josh Wren, Gary Wells, Justin Lemke even, they are going to be thinking about nothing but climbing now, because although there is a lot of race left, there's not a lot of race left for a very long time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well said. They're going to have to, you mentioned Gary Wells currently in that 19th place position. These guys have a substantial amount of time to make up on the racetrack when compared to where the leaders are. I mean, some of these guys are almost a half lap down, if not more right now. So you're right. Their race is really going to have to start to pick up if they want to get up there in contend for the W. Could not agree more with you.
Yep, as Alan Elwood, 2-second lead now over Bryce Senzak and the crew. He is absolutely torching it.
Yeah, it's almost like he's got an autopilot inside that race car. I mean, even as these tires continue to wear here, you don't see that car wiggle. It's not bobbing. It's not looking like tandem drift mode there on a Friday night. That car is just entrenched and it's hooked into the racetrack. The driver of that race car knows how to get it done here at Texas. He is putting on one heck of a methodical performance through 94 laps of competition.
Yeah, and next thing that is in question is the fuel load. And when the pit stop is going to come out, Jason Beckner has said it in the YouTube chat, how many laps on a tank of fuel? Well, Jason, we don't exactly know that, but I can tell you they ran the majority of the grid ran 28 to 32 laps during the first stint. So if we're going off that knowledge and that knowledge alone, we are going to be looking at pit window opening in about 4 or 5 laps because they got restarted on lap 75, I believe.
Correct.
And they are currently on lap 95. So we've hit the 20 lap mark. So here in about 5 to 8 laps, we should see that pit window starting to open.
Yeah, and this could potentially be the ever so critical money stop, as we like to call it. And we call it the money stop because why? I mean, this is when your whole race can virtually come down to this. This is when you want to get everything there is to getting on and off of pit road, having that best time delta. But how many times have we seen a critical mistake at an impactful time of the race, like the money stop, where it all turns in an instant for a driver trying to get a little too much getting onto pit road?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. This is where it all comes down to this, the climax of the race, some would say. You can really make or break your pace and race off of this pit stop here coming up.
Yeah, well said. Continue to watch Mike Rominger and company in that 4th place position. Everyone kind of single file right now, perhaps just buying some time, working with their team, trying to get a late race strategy here. And it looks like, and you said it earlier, Elwood is on a rail right now around this place. Does anyone have anything for the 10 machine? As it just seems like whenever he wants to go back to the front, he just sets the compass in that race car and he's off on a tangent. And once he gets there, you can see just how far of a lead he has on the racetrack over Sinsack. Is you got to go back now almost 2.6 seconds to pick up the next battle, and we're still hot and heavy. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. These guys are still going at it.
Yeah, and that's something that is always, almost laughable when you talk about motorsport to anybody who's not familiar or maybe just not interested in the genre. You say, oh, well, leader's out to a 2.6 second lead. He's cooking everyone. To the casual person, they're thinking, well, 2 seconds, that is not a long time whatsoever. But 2 seconds in the racing world is almost like a year. It's like waiting for Christmas as a kid. It's forever away. And being 2 seconds ahead that's just a strong arm. You are on top of the game if you're 2 seconds ahead, especially in oval racing. So for Alan Elwood right now, he has got to feel on top of the world. He is elated with what he's doing right now.
Yeah, it's like being in a different county, another zip code. Just to kind of put that into perspective right now, that's how much of an advantage Elwood has right now. As you can see, he's being challenged there, but that car is coming off of pit road there on fresh Goodyears in the 99, going to be able to go right on by. And of course, Elwood's not going to contest, the 99 there of Robert Haynes coming off of pit road, currently being scored in that 21st position.
Yeah, Alan Elwood knows that just as much as a lap car or back marker can help him in situations, it can also hurt him He wants to stay as far away from those back markers as possible, and not in a sense of, he's afraid that he's going to be a weapon and wreck him, but it's just, the draft, the dirty air that you can catch in the corner to slow yourself down. Alan Elwood knows how to be effective on a lone track, so he doesn't want any car near him to mess that up.
Exactly. And check out this battle here for 10th. David Elliott, he is in a hornet's nest right now. Let's go on board with Elliott, take it trackside, and look at the pressure he's trying to dial up all over the back of Koger.
Yeah, almost in that second groove coming out of turn 2. He is going to try to make a run here in 3 and 4. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to get it done, as he does not get the car properly set into 3 and 4, going for more of an exit, but that kink that he is going right now, that comes up quicker than you think, so compromising your exit of 4 for maybe a little bit more momentum is not the optimal way to do things around here at Texas.
Especially in the Xfinity car. Now, you can make the argument going back to cars of the past where you had, almost 30-40% more horsepower. You could not necessarily worry about corner exit because you have all that power and torque where you could just send it in there. These cars here, the way the aero is, the way that the power bands are set up on these Xfinity cars, you really want to focus on being able to get on the loud pedal earlier than that guy in front of you and carry that momentum, utilize the draft on these straightaways to set up these passes coming into the next corner. At least that's what works for me in modern sim racing.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right, and not to take anything away from it, but Dave Elliott, who is currently up 14 spots in 9th place, is also met by that equal reaction we were talking about in front of him, Logan Kogar in P8. He is down 6 positions, so not entirely equal, but it's so crazy to me how in P9 we can have somebody who's probably, absolutely flabbergasted at his performance, his ability to climb the grid, but just 1 spot in front of him, somebody is also upset at their performance and how they are doing tonight. So just the duality of racing there.
It's the tale of 2 stories, right? Yin and yang, if you will, a duality of racing. I like the way you put it. Reminds me of Slipknot, by the way. Thank you for that. Too bad we can't play any backing tracks, during these races because of copyright infringement. I have a ton of them I wish we could use from time to time, but you hit the nail on the head. David Elliott sitting there, man, I'm up 14 spots, one of the biggest movers of this race here, if not the biggest mover. I believe indeed he is right now, and he's in that 9th place position, into the top 10, probably smiling, having a great race, trying to hold on here, get himself a top 10. Logan Kogar, on the other hand, slid back 6 spots, just, may have missed it on the setup just a little bit, perhaps hasn't found the right balance with the race car, who's holding on for dear life right now and saying to himself, man, I should be inside the top 3 right now, fighting with the best of, Alan Elwood and Bryce Sinsack, or even, Travis Beckner. And that's just, every driver, there's stories that develop all over the racetrack, and a lot of times it's not just what you see on the racetrack. It's, everyone's running a different race, and it could be completely different story. Oh, big time power slide drip. Did you see that?
Yeah,
Beckner almost bought the farm.
Yeah, that was insane and well done. And yeah, that's just well done. I don't know what more to say about that.
He might need a new race suit, but what a save. I mean, you tell me Beckner's not up on the wheel trying to get everything he possibly can on the verge of lateral grip on that race car. Watching him do that tells me he is all out getting all the good out of it right now.
Yeah, and speaking of getting all the good out of it, Alan Elwood has drew that line. He said, I have gotten all I can out of this car. He goes into the pit, lap 111 for him. He is going to get some new race fuel and some 4 good years, as he is in for a pretty routine pit stop. We're going to check his pit time. It is 15 seconds flat, so unfortunately a little on the slower end of pit stops. You really want to see 14.2s, 14.3s as the optimal.
Yeah, 14.2s, 14.3s, and then you have the total pit delta from cone to cone. But you know what? One good thing is he did have that sizable advantage, which is also going to help absorb that little bit of that slower stop that they had executing on pit road as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so
and now
he should be fine.
Yeah, I think he'll be perfectly fine, especially given the pace that we've seen in that car. Now, just as he comes in, come one, come all, if you will, here's Bryce Sinsack coming down pit road for potentially his last stop of the race. Has a great entry into the box, gets it woed up, gives himself plenty of space. Crew will come over the wall, go to work, potentially for the last time on the 09 ride as well.
Yeah, and Beckner actually seems to be a malfunction in his 27 Chevrolet Camp. He has been in the pit stall for 49 seconds right now. I don't know if something went wrong with his car, if he has to repair something or what, but yeah, he is out with a 54.88 second pit time.
I thought perhaps that was a glitch in the timing and scoring because I was sitting there scratching my head, but you're absolutely right. That's not a glitch. He was absolutely in that pit stall for that amount of time. I can't imagine why we didn't see any damage on that race car. Perhaps one of the sim racing woes, when you have a glitch like that, because unfortunately this isn't real life, this is sim, it's all software based. You have a lot of different components working in unison to make these sim races happen, and perhaps maybe his connection glitched or something that just totally made that pit stop go wrong for him. But that's extremely unfortunate, is now Beckner is being shown all the way back in that 20th place position.
And I actually, while you were talking about that, I think I might have found our answer. He got he's about 40 seconds over from what everybody else stopped, and a pit lane speed, an entry speed penalty is 40 seconds on the iRacing service. So I do, in fact, believe that he might have came into pit road a little too quick, and that is why he was in his pit stall for 54 seconds instead of 14 seconds.
We talked about this a little bit earlier before we got down to the money stop. The anxiety, the stress, knowing that you have to be perfect, trying to get all you can, but don't go over the edge. And it sounds like, unfortunately, the 27, while having a flawless race, the money stop comes up and bites that Camaro in the bumper, and that right there could completely take him out of contention unless, we have a string of cautions here that allow him to get back on the lead lap. But nonetheless, heartbreak for Travis Beckner, as he was definitely making a big storyline in this race, as he was up there battling for a podium until that last pit sequence.
Yeah, and, you look at the timing board. Alan Elwood at the top again. That number 10 machine is absolutely flying, and he has found his way back to the throne where he so belongs, and he has only got, around 25 laps to get this race done and dusted, and he will be coming home in victory lane if he can keep it together. He has a 3.7 second lead that is ever climbing from Paul Irvin.
Even with that slower pit stop, as you pointed out, still now has almost a 4-second advantage over Paul Irvin. When Elwood dropped, from the lead and went further back in the pack, watching how good this car is in clean air, it's almost like, how could he have ever been passed out there on the racetrack? But you got to remember, the race evolves. It's more than just the car turning laps on the racetrack. It's the mechanics of the car, the setup, how the bias is dialed in. It's the track temperature, where the rubber's being laid down, how that driver is reacting, to that, the changing conditions out there on the racetrack. All these different factors make up the matrix of how your car is going to perform out there. But certainly when that 10 car is out in front in clean air, it is like on another planet and continues to blister laps. Last time by a 31:09. I'm sorry, a 31:09 for Elwood to Paul Irvin's 31:39.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, we've got Alan Elwood here, who is putting on an absolute masterclass, just absolute rapid pace here all night from that number 10 Camaro machine that he has got. And Michael Thwaites, we're seeing it here, battling Ed Morris Jr. for P6. He's actually going to get that overtake done on P6, and so Michael Thwaites knocking on the door of a top 5 here as we're coming down to the last few laps.
Yeah, Thwaites has that car. Looks like he's got that thing dialed back into the racetrack, rocking the bottom, and he is coming back towards the front here with a late charge. And Ed Morris Jr. right there with him in the 7 in close proximity. And if I'm not mistaken, those two pretty much work through the field together, about, through the lap 50, 60, sectors of this race, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's hard to say, as the race is winding down, what the strategy is. How long do you actually want to play defensive as, the laps dwindle down? Like, where do you draw the line to say, okay, it is time to climb and only climb? And I think Ed Morris is kind of battling that thought right now, because he sits in P7, but he has Michael Thwaites in front of him, who is actually setting really good lap times. So does Ed Morris just follow him and try to, use Thwaites as a bulldozer to get more spots? Or does he take the race into his own hands and try to climb up on his own?
Right now, I think you just got to be smart about this, right? You want to be calculated. Certainly, you don't want to overstep the boundaries of the race car's performance and put yourself in a bad situation. But you also realize that there's less than 20 laps to go, so you feel the urgency. You mentioned his lap times. Michael Thwaites last time by a 31:23. I mean, he's the 3rd fastest car out there on the racetrack. The only ones faster than him, well, Bryce Sinsack at a 30:15, and Alan Elwood at a 31:29.99. And we're talking thousandths of a second here. So Michael Thwaites really has that car jamming right now, coming towards the front. I just don't think he's gonna have the time to get there, because as you mentioned before, Alan Elwood, I mean, he's on an island of his own right now, almost an 8-second differential between him and Rominger in that 2nd place position.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it earlier, leader's complacency, but it does not seem to be getting to Alan Elwood whatsoever. He has stayed on top of the task, he has stayed hungry, he has stayed motivated, he has stayed driven throughout this entire race here, and he is reaping the benefits because, like you said, he is 8 seconds ahead and, honestly just growing the lead. When will it stop?
Sometimes when you're in the zone like that, and your crew chief can be on the radio, hey, we don't need you to run these laps this hard right now in case there's a late caution that comes out. You want to have some good left in the good years, per se. The driver, he's just gonna dial back that radio a little bit, and he's in his zone. He's vibing, doing his thing right now, and I bet you that gap continues to grow here, probably until this checkered flag flies, or the next flag. Any type of flag that would change, the zone of Alan Elwood inside that race car, because I mean, they are in unison right now. They are absolutely just putting up a blistering performance from the drop of the green flag as he continues to hit his mark each and every time on every corner. Every time we put him in view here, Elwood just running a great race here at Texas.
Yeah, it almost feels Verstappen-esque if you're a fan of Formula One and following it this season. I mean, 10 race wins in a row for him, but more importantly, he dominated the opposition every single time they took the track, and Alan Elwood is putting on that sort of dominance. You can feel the presence almost, the feeling of intimidation that the rest of these drivers on this grid must have, because to be 100 and some laps into a race and have an 8-second lead around an oval is absolutely wild.
And to your point, some of these other drivers that are having great performances, like Rominger, Sinsak, Jacob Jensen, Paul Irvin, inside the top 5 here, they're probably sitting there scratching their head going, what do we got to do to contend with Elwood the next time we come to a 1.5-mile track? They could be going, a little further outside of the box. Is he going to run like this on the short tracks? Is he going to be, this competitive on the plate races? Or, a track that we all know that you put a race car in the infield, or a hauler in the infield, you get it on the racetrack, anyone can win. That's a wild card race. So this performance is probably, putting a lot of these drivers on notice, especially with the performance advantage right now in the 10. A lot of these other drivers probably aren't even going to be able to enjoy running inside the top 5, the top 10, because all they're going to be concerned about is finding that pace to match, Alan Elwood in the weeks to come.
Yeah, and you said it absolutely perfectly. Alan is he's in a league of his own right now, and will this intimidation factor carry on through the rest of the season? Will he be able to string it together? Who knows? But as of right now, it is looking like the Alan Elwood show, as he has mustered up an 8.6-second lead. But, the attention now lies on P2 and 3 of Bryce Sensak and Mike Rominger, because Mike Rominger is actually extremely close to Bryce Sensak here. We're coming down 9 to go, and these guys are fighting over these last 2 podium spots.
Yeah, they are giving each other the business right now. As you mentioned, this is for a podium spot. These laps are winding down. We're inside 10 to go. So now we can see Rominger here starting to dial up the radar, right? Get the sidewinders ready to go here and cone in on the back of that Chevrolet Camaro. As you can see, Rominger getting it right down on the white line in the 09, doing everything he can to match him, trying to block but be aggressive, or block but be aggressive at the same time, if that makes sense. Doesn't want to give an air advantage to Rominger for any reasons out there. He doesn't want to give him an edge, especially late in the race with just a few laps remaining.
Yeah, and Mike Rominger is going to be doing everything he possibly can. As you look back and see Jacob Jensen, unfortunately, I don't believe he is in contention for this fight for P2. So it looks like Jacob Jensen will be crowned best of the rest. Assuming he doesn't catch up. He definitely can. He's got the skill to. We've seen it here tonight, but 7 laps, 1.2 seconds, I just don't know if it's going to happen for certain.
Yeah, unless, do I even want to go that route and mention that flag? The broadcaster's curse is real. That is a legit thing, so we're going to stray away from that. But you guys at home know where we're going with that one. And to your point, you said best of the rest, and not that fourth place is bad by any means, especially with the level of competition here in the series tonight. In fact, while we got a time here, let's go through the field one final time here. We got Alan Elwood up there dominating this race in first. Second place belongs right now to Bryce Sensak in the 09 ride. Mike Rominger, he's been thrilling to watch battle throughout the course of this race. He is in third in that final podium position. Jacob Jensen in the 64, he is fourth on the racetrack, up 2 spots from where he started in the 12th, in the top 5 in 5th. The 48 of Paul Irvin, currently in 6th, up 5 spots from when he took the green flag here. Ed Morris Jr., 7s across the board. Thank him for your pick 3 lottery numbers tonight. If you win, he gets a 20% cut. 777 across the board for Ed Morris Jr. Logan Kogar currently runs in that 8th place position. Jane Schwainwolf in 9th, and rounding out your top 10, that's going to be Austin Karp, up 10 spots, having a great run, hoping he comes home with that 10th place finish after a long run, battling it out, grueling it on the racetrack, clawing his way up inside to get that 10th place position.
Yeah, and you know, for the top 10 drivers here tonight, what an excellent race they have run. And, you know, a lot of times positions are shuffled due to late race cautions and, you know, stage breaks and stuff like that. But for these guys, it was an absolute, and, you know, commentators curse, I really don't want to jinx it. But these guys have been extremely clean tonight, apart from that one caution we had on lap 73. And even then, I believe that was just a racing incident. I don't believe that was really the fault of anybody. But these guys, as we see Alan Elwood coming up on a back marker, he is going to waste no time trying to get by him. Although we have seen in the past, in the real world and virtual, that can lead to some very unfortunate twists of fate. But Alan Elwood gets the pass done. The 15 machine of Ted Pullen says, you know what, brother? You can have it, man. No worries here. And we are 2 to go, coming to the white.
Yeah, 2 to go, coming to the white flag, and you're right. He does not want to poke the bear. Oh, he just bonks it off the wall. You said, why did the 10 have some sense of urgency to get around that car? That's exactly the reason why right there is it all goes bad just behind the leader. But guess what? He is out front coming down the backstretch for the final time. Alan Elwood has it churning on the high side of the racetrack as he turns it down to the bottom through the 3 and 4 complex. And Alan Elwood is going to lay the smackdown at Texas as he wins with almost a 9-second advantage as you see him drifting it coming across the start-finish line. Bryce Sensak is going to come home second, and Mike Rominger comes home third here tonight. What a way to close it out here at the Big House, where it's bigger and better in Texas.
Yeah, you know, what an absolute dominant performance from Alan Elwood all the way through. The only time he didn't hold the lead was when he was fresh off of a pit cycle, and best believe he was climbing the grid with ease when he wasn't leading the race. Fair play to Alan Elwood. He absolutely deserves it.
Yeah, well said. You know, in a lot of times you don't see the most dominant car get the W out there, but tonight, you know, with such a great group of competitors, everyone executed well. Not many incidences on the racetrack as well. And that 10, he is going to get the good out of the infield here. He's going to give the grass a cut as well as he burns the house down here, giving the heck of a show to these guys in the grandstands.
Yeah, you know, running the infamous reverse burnout. I saw it a lot growing up with Dale Earnhardt Jr. He loves to do that. And, you know, much like Dale Earnhardt Jr., Alan Elwood just came with an absolute mission tonight, and he got it done.
Yeah, he certainly did get it done here. Waiting to see when these guys are going to jump up here in the staging room. We got Bryce Sensak on board. And I guess we can kind of just play this as it lies. He's going to bring up our number 2 place finisher, Bryce Sensak. Matt and Mac up in the booth. You got us, bud.
Yeah.
Man, one heck of a run for you here tonight in the 09 ride. You were out there battling your tail off. Describe that action, the intensity out there as you were in the thick of it, having a great run tonight.
Yeah, I am quite worn out after that. Glad we got a long run though at the end, because we were all out of tires, and I don't know how a restart would have went with all of us out of tires, but I mean, really competitive up there around the top 5. I think me and Mike pretty much battled for about half that race. He was good at the very start, like he had me on long runs, and I figured it's something now. Not entirely sure what it was, but I was able to get him on a long run. Gonna had to feel that pressure tires, and I don't know what happened to Travis. He was making me work hard for it, but something happened to him. He was like a lap down at the end or something, and then Alan was he was lights out fast as always. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Mac pointed out in the broadcast, he actually had a speeding penalty coming down pit road, which unfortunately is kind of what took him out of contention, battling with you up front. You know, you mentioned the longer run. How important was it to save the tires to be fast in the later stages of those runs out during the race?
It was just pretty important just to manage it. Just keep it consistent on what line you're running, and obviously not to just go lights out fast and push them from the get go, because it's only gonna get worse from there. But yeah, with that, going back with Alan, I figured he had a penalty, and I thought he was 2 down, but then with a few laps in the stage, I think we were like 10, or in the stage 2 when we were like 10 laps in, he was like right behind me in 5th. Like, well, here he is. It was over from there, I guess.
Yes, sir, indeed. You drove a heck of a race here tonight. Before we cut you loose, let you go celebrate, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done?
Just gotta thank all you guys at the booth for bringing this stuff together. Ed Morris for all he does for bringing this league together, and everyone for just showing up. We had a pretty decent sized field. I think like 26, 27 cars, and majority of them stuck around. So overall, it's just a really good race.
Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Bryce Sinsack comes home second. That man really had a great car, especially on the long run. Wanted a little bit more, but hey, great way to start things off here Tuesday night in primetime with a second place finish. Moving on, we're going to go to our third place finisher, Mike Robinger. Going to bring him up in the booth, and I believe Mike is with you.
Yes, sir, Mike Rominger, driver of the number 4. How are you doing tonight, man?
Doing good. How about you?
You know, I'm doing good, and I'm doing a lot better after watching that race, man. And, you know, you got one really, really long stint there from lap, what I believe was 75, maybe 76, all the way to the end. Did you like the long run, or would you have preferred more of a shorter stint there to close out the race?
I kind of prefer the long run. I mean, I'm just a little bit better on the longer run than the short run. As you can tell, I lost a little bit, or a little on the restarts. So, the long run's in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely showed rapid pace throughout the entire back half of the event here. But, you know, one thing is for certain, you were absolutely battling. You were battling Jacob Jensen for that P3 spot for a little bit, and then it kind of stretched out. Did you have it in your head to just always be a big defender here at this track, or did it just so happen to lie that way where you weren't really contested for your spot?
I'd say the latter of the two. Yeah, I just, I try to protect my position as much as I can, but sometimes cars are faster than you. You got to let them go. But yeah, I just I think I had a pretty decent race. I was leading there coming in the pit, and I kind of missed my pit because I was looking up in the mirror, and guy behind me got into me a little bit and sent me off in my pits. But stuff happens.
Yeah, stuff does indeed happen, but fortunately for you, most of the night was a lot of good stuff as you bring it home in P3 in the podium. Who do you have to thank for tonight's performance?
Well, I'd like to thank you guys for, putting up the race every week, and Extreme for putting on a good, races every week, and and Ed for all he does, and all the teammates down in prime time.
Yeah, for sure. But, number 4 driver. However, number 3 in the finishing standings tonight, Mike Rominger. Enjoy your night, man. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
And certainly last but not least, the man that lit this 1.5-mile oval speedway, went all out, no limits. The winner here tonight, Alan Elwood. That car was absolutely locked and ready to rock from the drop of the green flag. How are you able to go out there and put on such a dominating performance here tonight?
I'm not really sure. I mean, this track is tough. For anybody to have that big of a lead is remarkable. I'm not really sure how that ended up working out, but the setup was just complete opposite end of the spectrum. Turn 1 and 2 is really tight because of the lower banking. Turn 3 and 4 was really loose, really free, and so you had to really manage, both right front and right rear. Both played a big part in those long runs. Because you needed the right front to get through 1 and 2, and then you needed the right rear to get through 3 and 4. So I was trying to let up off the gas a little bit more, try and make sure that I wasn't getting too, out of shape, and just hoping that I could pull away and use a little bit of strategy with the pit stops and whatnot, and it worked out.
Well, I'll tell you what, and that's some great insight, how you had to manage turns 1 and 2, completely different than 3 and 4. From a broadcast perspective, it looked like that car was cemented to the racetrack like a slot car back in the day. You couldn't tell if you were struggling at all trying to, manage the balance or the tires at any point in time out there on the racetrack. Man, that was one of the greater performances I've seen in quite some time. When you fell back a little bit in the field there through the later stages of the first stage, was that by design, or were you just trying, or perhaps just trying to see, how long it would take you to get back to the front?
No, definitely not by design. No, I sped coming on a pit road. So iRacing holds you for 40 seconds. I haven't done that in a while, and I completely forgot that was even a thing. Thinking it's a drive-through, and then I see the penalties, a 40-second hold. I'm like, oh, geez, okay. So luckily, caution came out, and I was able to get close enough to the leader, get the lucky dog. So obviously that helped a lot. Otherwise, if I got stuck a lap down, I don't know if I'd be sitting here P1. So I kind of lucked out in that situation. But yeah, just stupid mental mistake, trying too hard to get on pit road. Gain as much advantage as possible, and when you're the lead, you can't do stuff like that. So I paid the price for it for sure. But we luckily had the pace to catch back up.
Yeah, I didn't want to throw that out there and murk up your beautiful interview marked by that speeding penalty. So thanks for taking that upon yourself. But, like you said, you still had the car able to just drive up through there. It looked like that car would work anywhere you wanted it to. And once you got that car back in clean air, it was set sail. See you later. I'm on another planet, and you were just out of Dodge. I mean, one of the best, like I said, one of the greatest performances I've seen at this racetrack in quite some time. Alan, before we let you go celebrate with your team, who do you want to thank? Who helps you get it done week in and week out?
I just want to thank Simrat Market. I'm a painter over there. If anybody here watching is unfamiliar, if you go to simratmarket.com, if you're looking to get into painting cars on iRacing, we're a one-stop shop for bases for all sorts of cars that you can download, punch into Photoshop, and basically just change the colors on them and put all your logos, numbers on them, everything. So it's a really good resource to use for anybody that's looking to do some painting. So head on over to simratmarket.com, check that out. Everybody here at the league for putting on a show. Thankfully have a place to race and have a good race. It was clean all the way around, I would say. So great place to be here, Ed and everybody, and you guys on the broadcast for putting on a great show. Really appreciate it.
We appreciate that, and we appreciate you and the rest of the league and all the competitors, everything these guys do each and every weekend to put on such a great show Tuesday night in prime time. Alan Elwood, who is absolutely electrifying throughout the course of this race. He is your winner here this evening. And Mac, only one thing left to do is we got to run through this field one final time here. So let's bring up those results. If you want to go ahead, start things off, and I'll take the later half of the field.
Yes, sir. So coming home in P1 is going to be Alan Elwood. We just talked to him. Along with that, P2, Bryce Sensak. P3, Mike Rominger. Jacob Jensen claims best of the rest in P4. Michael Thwaites, Paul Irvin, Ed Morris Jr., Logan Kogar, James Shane Wolf, and Austin Karp round out your top 10. Going back to 15, it is going to be in P11, Alex Railing, Ted Pullen, Eric Driggins, Gary Wells, and Travis Beckner.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And taking the rest of the way through the field here this evening. 16th belongs to GJ Weeks. 17th, Kerry Cleaver. 18th, Josh Warren coming home 19th tonight. Rob Haynes rounding out your top 20. Justin Lemke. 21st belongs to David Elliott. Well, Adam caps the 22nd position. Edward Morris Sr. comes home 23rd. 24th, Cody Collins. Nicholas Caldwell didn't get everything he wanted to this evening as he comes home with the top 25. 26 belongs to Keith Walton, and rounding out the 27 starters here this evening, Joey Beck. Well, ladies and gentlemen, like all things, all good things must come to an end, including this broadcast. Want to thank everyone for joining us live here on SRM. Become part of the family. You know you want to do so already. Easy the way to do it. Smash the like button, ring the bell, come home to 7 days of high-flying eSIM racing action right here on SRM. And as Tony Trapasso would always say, as you walk down the road of life this week, do us all a favor. Don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.